Emma, honey, you okay? Rosie's weathered voice cut through my panic. She'd owned this place for 30 years, served coffee to 3 generations of this neighborhood, and nothing got past her. I'm fine, I lied, clutching the damp rag like a lifeline. That's the 4th time you've checked that window in the last 10 minutes. Her eyes followed mine to the glass front, where darkness pressed against the neon glow of our sign. He out there again? My throat tightened. I couldn't speak, could only nod. Derek had been waiting for me after every shift for 2 weeks now, ever since I'd broken up with him, ever since I'd finally found the courage to say no to his controlling demands, his jealous rages, his hands that gripped too tight and left bruises shaped like fingertips on my arms. I'm calling the police, Rosie said, already reaching for the phone. Don't. The word came out sharper than I intended. I already filed 2 reports. They said unless he actually does something, unless he threatens me directly or breaks the restraining order by coming within 100 feet. I swallowed hard. He's always exactly 101 feet away. He measured it. He told me he measured it. The first night, I'd been terrified, but hopeful the sight of police cruisers would scare him off. Instead, Derek had smiled at the officers from across the street, hands in his pockets, the picture of innocent coincidence. Just waiting for a bus, officer. This is a public sidewalk, isn't it? The second night, he'd blown me a kiss as I'd begged the police to do something, anything. They'd looked at me with pity and frustration. We know he's harassing you, ma'am. But the law is the law, and driven away. Now it was night 14, and Derek's silhouette had become as much a part of closing time as switching off the coffee maker and counting the register. This ain't right, Rosie muttered. Ain't right at all. I'll be okay. I'll just walk fast, take the main streets. The same hollow reassurances I'd given myself every night, even as the walk to my apartment grew longer in my mind, every shadow a potential hiding place, every footstep behind me a spike of pure adrenaline. The bell above the door chimed, and I actually yelped, dropping the rag. But it wasn't Derek. The man who entered was tall enough that he had to duck slightly through the doorframe, with dark hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble. Sharp cheekbones. A jaw that looked like it could cut glass, and eyes so pale blue they were almost gray. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than my car, and when he moved, there was a predatory grace to it that made something in my hindbrain scream danger. 2 more men followed him, both built like brick walls, both scanning the diner with the kind of systematic attention that said security, protection, threat assessment. We're about to close, Rosie said, but her voice had gone soft, uncertain in a way I'd never heard before. The man in the suit smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Coffee, black. I'll be quick. It wasn't a request. I grabbed a cup with trembling hands, filled it from the pot, and brought it to the booth where he'd settled, naturally, instinctively taking the seat that faced the door. His guards stood flanking the entrance, silent and still. Thank you, he glanced at my name tag. Emma. The way he said my name made my skin prickle, like he was tasting it, memorizing it. That'll be $2.50, I managed. He pulled out a wallet, leather expensive, and placed a $100 bill on the table. Keep it. Sir, I can't. You can. Those pale eyes fixed on mine, and I felt pinned like a butterfly on a board. You look frightened. Is it me? The directness of the question shocked me into honesty. No, sir. Then who? I shouldn't answer. He was a stranger. A strange, dangerous-looking stranger with bodyguards and eyes that saw too much. But something about the quiet certainty in his voice made me feel like lying would be worse than the truth. My ex-boyfriend. He waits for me. Every night. Right outside, just beyond the restraining order distance. The words tumbled out before I could stop them. He follows me home. Never close enough for the police to do anything, but close enough that I can hear his footsteps behind me. Close enough that he can call out what I'm wearing, what time I left, how many times I looked over my shoulder. The man's expression didn't change, but something shifted in the air around him. The temperature seemed to drop 5 degrees. "Show me." I walked to the window on legs that felt like water, pointed across the street to where Derek stood beneath a broken streetlight, his phone glowing in his hand. Probably timing me. He liked to text me my closing time, accurate to the minute, just to remind me he was watching. The man stood beside me, so close I could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive, cedar and smoke. He studied Derek for a long moment, his face absolutely expressionless. Then he turned to one of his guards. "Marco, make a call. I want to know everything about him. Full name, address, employment, family, friends, parking tickets, everything. I want it in 10 minutes. Marco nodded and stepped outside, phone already to his ear. "Sir, you don't have to... What's your full name, Emma?" "Emma Catherine Reese." "Emma Catherine Reese." He said it slowly, like a vow. "My name is Luca Moretti. Do you know who I am?" I shook my head, but Rosie made a small noise behind the counter, something between a gasp and a prayer. Luca's mouth curved slightly. "Perhaps that's better. What time do you finish?" "Midnight." "Then at midnight you're going to walk out of this diner and you're going to get into my car. I'm going to take you home, and your ex-boyfriend is going to learn something very important tonight." "What's that?" I whispered. "That you're under my protection now, and I don't share." The way he said it, calm, absolute, like a judge handing down a sentence, sent a shiver down my spine that wasn't entirely from fear. "I can't ask you to do this. I don't even know you." "You're not asking, I'm telling." He returned to his booth, picked up his untouched coffee, and took a single sip. "And now you know me. I'm the man who's going to make sure Derek," he said the name like it was something rotten, "forgets where you work, forgets where you live, forgets, perhaps, his own name." Marco returned, leaning down to whisper in Luca's ear. Whatever he said made Luca's jaw tighten almost imperceptibly. Interesting, he has a record. 2 previous girlfriends with restraining orders. 1 hospitalization that was ruled an accident. Luca's pale eyes found mine again. "You were lucky to leave when you did, Emma." The validation, the acknowledgement that I'd been right to be afraid, that this wasn't an overreaction or paranoia, nearly broke me. I felt tears burning behind my eyes. I tried to get help. I tried to do everything right. The system failed you. That happens more often than it should. He stood, buttoning his jacket with precise, controlled movements. "But I don't fail. Finish your closing duties. At midnight, you walk out that door. Understood?" I could only nod. The next 15 minutes passed in a blur. I counted the register twice, getting different numbers both times. Rosie kept shooting me worried looks, but didn't say anything. Not with Luca Moretti sitting in the corner booth like a king holding court, his guards standing sentinel. At exactly midnight, I untied my apron with numb fingers. "Emma." Rosie caught my arm. "Do you know who that man is?" "He said his name is Luca Moretti." She paled. "The Morettis, honey, they're not good people. They're connected. You understand what I'm saying?" "Connected to what?" "To everything the law can't touch. That man is dangerous." I looked through the window at Derek, who'd straightened up, sensing closing time approaching. Then I looked at Luca, who was watching me with an expression that might have been concern on a less controlled face. "Right now," I said quietly, "I need dangerous on my side." Rosie's hand tightened on my arm, then released. "God help me, I understand. Just be careful. Men like that don't do anything without a price." I grabbed my purse and coat. Luca was already at the door, holding it open. The gesture would have been gentlemanly from anyone else. From him, it felt like a claim. The night air hit me like a cold slap. Across the street, Derek started walking toward us, that familiar, predatory smile spreading across his face. "Emma, baby, working late again? That's my girl, so dedicated." He stopped mid-sentence as Luca stepped in front of me. Not close enough to touch, but close enough that his presence was a wall between us. "You're Derek. Luca's voice carried clearly across the empty street. "We need to talk." Derek's smile faltered. "Who the hell are you? Emma, is this guy bothering you? Because I'm still your emergency contact. And I don't appreciate... You're not her emergency contact. You're not her boyfriend. You're not anything to her." Luca's tone never rose, never hardened. That made it more terrifying. "You're a problem, and I solve problems. Listen, man, I don't know what she told you, but Emma and I have a complicated relationship. She gets confused sometimes, doesn't know what she wants. She wants you to disappear." Derek's face flushed red. "You can't talk to me like that. This is a public street. I have every rights." Luca said the word like it amused him. "Derek Michael Foster, born April 15th, 1983, currently unemployed, living at 247 Morrison Street, apartment 3B. You have $17,000 in credit card debt, a suspended license, and a very interesting pattern of restraining orders from women who all look remarkably similar." He tilted his head. "Emma's right to be afraid of you. Sarah Mitchell was right to be afraid of you. And Jessica Chen was right to be afraid of you before you put her in the hospital." Derek's face went from red to white. "How do you can't just dig into my private... I can do anything I want. That's the difference between us. You hide behind legal technicalities, and restraining order distances measured to the foot. I don't hide behind anything." Luca took a single step forward. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to turn around. You're going to go home. And you're never going to come within a mile of Emma again. You're not going to wait outside her work. You're not going to follow her home. You're not going to text her, call her, email her, or look at her social media. She's going to cease to exist in your world. And if I don't?" Derek's voice cracked on the question. "Then I'll make sure you cease to exist in everyone's world." The words hung in the air like smoke. Derek looked at me, his eyes wild with confusion and rage. "Emma, baby, you can't seriously be with this guy. He's clearly some kind of criminal. I'm just trying to protect you." "She doesn't need your protection." Luca's hand moved to the small of my back, possessive, claiming. "She has mine now. Leave." "You can't just..." Marco stepped forward and Derek actually stumbled backward. Whatever he saw in Marco's face made him go silent. "There's a black sedan at the end of the block," Luca said conversationally. "It's been there for the last 20 minutes. The men inside work for me. There are 2 more cars within a 3-block radius. All of them are watching. All of them are waiting. Give me a reason, Derek. Please." Derek's hands clenched into fists, but he didn't move forward. Couldn't move forward. The air itself seemed to reject him, push him back. "This isn't over," he spat. "You think some mobster scares me? I'll call the police. I'll tell them you threatened me." Luca smiled. "By all means. Call them. Tell them Luca Moretti threatened you. See what happens." Something in Derek's expression crumbled. He looked at me one last time, and for a moment I saw the man I'd thought I loved, before the jealousy and control had twisted him into this. Then he turned and ran. Actually ran. I started shaking so hard my teeth chattered. Luca's hand pressed more firmly against my back, steadying me. "He'll come back," I whispered. "Men like him always come back." "Not to you." Luca guided me toward a sleek black car that had materialized at the curb. "Marco, have someone watch her building tonight. Rotating shifts. If Foster comes within 5 blocks, I want to know about it." "Yes, sir." The car's interior was cream leather and smelled like luxury. I sank into the seat, and my body finally admitted how exhausted it was. How many nights of fear and insomnia were catching up with me all at once. Luca slid in beside me, maintaining a careful distance. "Where do you live?" I gave him my address, and the driver pulled away from the curb. Through the tinted windows, I watched the diner disappear. Watched Derek's corner disappear. Watched my fear begin to recede like a tide. "Why did you help me?" The question came out small, uncertain. Why did you need help? That's not an answer. Neither is yours. Luca studied me with those unsettling pale eyes. You asked why I helped. The better question is why I'm still helping. Why I'm driving you home. Why I'm putting guards on your building. Why I'm personally ensuring Derek Foster understands the consequences of ignoring my warning. Okay, why? He was quiet for a long moment. Because I walked into that diner for coffee, and I saw a woman who was terrified but still standing, still working, still fighting to live her life despite someone trying to take that power away from her. And I thought... He paused, choosing his words carefully. I thought she deserved to know what it feels like to be truly safe. You don't even know me. No. But I'd like to. The statement was so direct, so honest, despite the dangerous elegance of the man saying it, that I didn't know how to respond. I can't be what you think I am, I finally said. I'm a waitress. I live in a studio apartment with a radiator that only works half the time. I eat ramen 3 nights a week. I'm nobody special. Emma. He said my name like it was precious. Do you know what I do? Really do? Rosie said you're connected. That you're dangerous. I am dangerous. I run businesses that operate in the shadows. I make decisions that affect hundreds of lives. I've done things that would horrify you. He leaned forward slightly. But I've also built an empire on one simple principle: loyalty. People under my protection stay protected. Always. I'm not one of your people. You are now. The moment I put myself between you and Derek, you became mine to protect. The possessiveness in his voice should have frightened me. Instead, it made something warm unfurl in my chest, something that felt dangerously like hope. The car stopped in front of my building, a modest walk-up in a neighborhood that was trying hard to be respectable. Luca got out first, scanning the street with the same systematic attention his guards had shown at the diner. Then he opened my door and offered his hand. His palm was warm, his grip strong and certain. I'll walk you up. You don't have to, Emma. He looked at me, and for the first time I saw something crack in that controlled exterior. Something almost vulnerable. Let me do this. Let me make sure you're safe inside. Please. I led him up 3 flights of stairs to my apartment. The hallway smelled like Mrs. Chen's cooking and old carpet, and I was suddenly painfully aware of how different Luca's world must be from mine. But he didn't seem to notice or care. He waited while I unlocked my door, then checked every room before allowing me inside. Closets, bathroom, under the bed, behind the shower curtain. All clear, he said, returning to where I stood in my tiny kitchen. Lock the door behind me. Don't answer it unless you know who it is. My men will be outside all night. In the morning, I'll have someone bring you to work. No more walking alone. No more being vulnerable. For how long? As long as necessary. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card. Black, expensive, with just a phone number embossed in silver. My private line. You call this number any time, day or night. And I'll answer. Within seconds. Understood? I took the card with shaking hands. I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning. He moved toward the door, then stopped. Turned back. Emma. That question you asked. Why I'm doing this. Yes? The truth is, I've spent my entire life building walls, keeping people at a distance, creating rules and boundaries that keep me safe and in control. He took a step closer, and my breath caught. But the moment I saw you standing at that window, looking at a man who'd systematically destroyed your peace, I felt something I haven't felt in years. Protective. Possessive. Like I would burn down the entire city if that's what it took to make you feel safe. You don't know me, I repeated, but the words came out as a whisper. Not yet. But I'm going to. He reached out, slowly enough that I could pull away, and brushed a strand of hair from my face. His fingers were gentle, reverent. Get some sleep, Emma Catherine Reese. Tomorrow we'll talk about what happens next. Then he was gone, the door closing softly behind him. I stood in my quiet apartment, holding a black business card and trying to process what had just happened. A man who scared my boss, who commanded guards and drivers and surveillance teams like chess pieces, had just promised to protect me. More than that, he'd looked at me like I was something precious, something worth protecting. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt safer than I had in months. I was asleep within minutes of my head hitting the pillow. Deep, dreamless sleep unmarred by the usual nightmares of Derek's footsteps following me home. When I woke, sunlight was streaming through my window, and my phone showed 3 missed calls from the diner. I called Rosie back immediately. "Emma, thank God. Are you okay? What happened last night?" "I'm fine. I'm safe. Luca took me home and there's a man downstairs in your building. Says he's here to drive you to work. Big guy, looks like he could bench press a car." I looked out my window and saw the black sedan from last night parked at the curb. "That's Marco. He works for Luca." "Emma," Rosie's voice was worried, "you know this isn't normal, right? This isn't how normal men act." Derek was normal. Derek followed all the rules and found every loophole and made me terrified to exist in my own life. "Luca." I touched the business card on my nightstand. Luca made me feel safe for the first time in months. "Just promise me you'll be careful." "I promise." Marco drove me to the diner in comfortable silence. When we arrived, Rosie was waiting with coffee and a worried expression. "No sign of Derek?" I asked. "Not this morning. Not last night either, according to the night crew at the convenience store across the street. They said Derek usually shows up around 10, starts his watch. But last night," she shook her head, "nothing." Relief made me lightheaded. "Really?" "Really. Whatever that Moretti man said to him, it worked." The day passed in a blur of orders and customers. Every time the bell chimed, I looked up expecting to see Derek or Luca. But Derek never came, and neither did Luca. I shouldn't have been disappointed. He'd done what he promised. Derek was gone. I was safe. That should have been enough. But I kept checking my phone, kept touching the business card in my pocket. At 7 p.m. during the dinner rush, the bell chimed again. It was Luca. He looked somehow more dangerous in the evening light, his sharp suit replaced with dark jeans and a black sweater that made his pale eyes almost glow. He took the same booth as last night, and I brought him coffee without being asked. "You didn't call," he said. "You didn't tell me to." "I gave you my private number. That's an invitation." I slid into the seat across from him. Bold, probably stupid, but I needed to understand. "Why are you here?" "To see you, to make sure you're all right, and," he seemed to choose his words carefully, "to ask if you'd have dinner with me. Real dinner." "Not here." Are you asking me on a date?" "Yes, though I understand if it's too soon. You just ended a relationship and He gestured at himself with a self-deprecating smile that transformed his face. "I'm not exactly safe boyfriend material. You're the definition of not safe." "Is that a no?" I thought about Derek, about months of walking on eggshells, of having my phone checked and my friends questioned and my every move monitored, about fear becoming my constant companion. Then I thought about how Luca had stood between me and that fear without hesitation, how he'd made Derek disappear with nothing but words and presence, how he'd checked my apartment and given me his private number and looked at me like I was the most interesting person in his world. "It's a yes, but I have conditions." His eyebrows rose. "I'm listening. I'm not some damsel who needs constant saving. I'm grateful for what you did, but I'm not going to be a possession. I make my own choices." "Agreed. And I need honesty. You said you've done things that would horrify me. I need to know what that means, what being with you would mean." "Being with me means entering a world that exists in shadows. It means sometimes I'll disappear for days without explanation. It means the people in my life are always in danger simply by association." He held my gaze. "It means that if you're mine, Emma, you're mine completely. I don't share, I don't compromise, and I protect what's mine with everything I have." That sounds exhausting. It is. But it's also... He searched for words. It's being with someone who will never lie to you, who will never make you feel unsafe, who will burn down the world if someone threatens you. You keep saying that, the burning down the world thing, because I mean it literally. I should have run, should have thanked him politely and gone back to my safe, small life. Instead, I said, Friday night, I'm off at 8. The smile that crossed Luca's face was like watching the sun rise. Friday night, I'll pick you up at 8. He stood, left another $100 bill on the table, and paused beside me. Emma, thank you. For what? For saying yes. For taking a chance on someone dangerous. He leaned down, and for a breathless moment I thought he might kiss me. Instead, he whispered, for reminding me what it feels like to want something more than power and control. Then he was gone, leaving me with a racing heart and a smile I couldn't suppress. Rosie appeared at my elbow. Girl, you're playing with fire. I know. And you're going to do it anyway. I know. She shook her head, but she was smiling. Then I guess I better teach you how to handle the heat. The week passed in a strange, dreamlike state. Derek didn't return. Not Tuesday, not Wednesday, not Thursday. Marco drove me to and from work each day, and while I initially protested, his silent, professional presence became comforting. On Thursday night, Marco handed me a phone, sleek, black, expensive. From Mr. Moretti. Your number is the only one programmed. His number is on speed dial. Any problems, any concerns, any time, you call. I stared at the phone. This is too much. With respect, Miss Reese, it's not nearly enough. Marco's expression softened slightly. He's been asking about you, every day. What time you arrive at work, if you seem happy, if anyone's bothered you. I've worked for Mr. Moretti for 8 years. I've never seen him care about anyone the way he cares about you. You barely know me. Neither does he. That's what scares him. Friday arrived with the weight of anticipation. I spent my entire shift nervous and distracted, dropping silverware and messing up orders. Rosie finally sent me to the back to pull yourself together, for heaven's sake. At exactly 8 o'clock, Luca's car pulled up to the curb, but this time he got out. Walked into the diner, stood there in another impossibly perfect suit, charcoal gray this time, with a dark blue shirt that made his eyes electric. You look beautiful, he said. I was wearing the same uniform I wore every day, black pants, white shirt, sensible shoes. But the way he looked at me made me feel like I was wearing a gown. I need to change, I said. I can't go to dinner like this. We'll stop at your apartment, he offered his arm. Unless you'd rather I waited in the car? I slipped my hand through his arm, feeling the solid strength of him. No, I'd rather you came up. Rosie watched us leave with a maternal expression that was equal parts worry and hope. As we walked to the car, Luca leaned down and murmured, For the record, you could show up in a paper bag, and you'd still be the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. That's a line. That's the truth. I don't do lines. He opened the car door. I do promises. And I promise you, Emma, tonight is going to change everything. He was right. At my apartment, I changed into the nicest dress I owned, a simple navy blue sheath that I'd bought for my cousin's wedding. When I emerged from the bedroom, Luca was standing at my window, looking out at the street below. They're still there, he said without turning. My men. They'll be there every night until I'm certain Derek has moved on with his life, or until he no longer has a life to move on with. That's dark. I'm a dark man, Emma. I warned you about this. He turned, and his expression shifted when he saw me. Christo, you're stunning. It's just a dress. No, it's you. He crossed the room in 3 strides, stopping just close enough that I could feel the heat of him. Can I tell you something? Yes. I haven't taken a woman to dinner in 4 years. I haven't wanted to. My life is complicated and dangerous, and bringing someone into it felt cruel. His hand came up, cupping my cheek with a gentleness that seemed impossible from someone so dangerous. But you make me want to be cruel. You make me want to risk everything just to see you smile. Luca. Let me finish. You deserve to know what you're getting into. My name carries weight in this city. Protection and fear in equal measure. People will look at you differently when they see you with me. Some will envy you. Some will pity you. Some will try to use you to get to me. And some will try to hurt me to hurt you. Yes, that's the reality. That's why I've stayed alone. His thumb brushed across my cheekbone, but then I saw you looking out that window, terrified but defiant, and I thought, maybe protecting something precious is better than protecting nothing at all. I leaned into his touch. I'm not afraid. You should be. I was afraid every single day with Derek. Normal, legal, socially acceptable Derek who stalked me and controlled me and made me feel like I was losing my mind. You? I put my hand over his, holding it against my face. You make me feel safe. That's worth the risk. He kissed me then. Softly at first, a question I answered by pressing closer. Then deeper, with the kind of intensity that made my knees weak and my heart race. His hand moved to the small of my back, pulling me against him, and I felt the careful control he maintained even in passion. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. We should go to dinner, he said roughly. We should. Neither of us moved. Emma. If we don't leave now, I'm going to kiss you again. And if I kiss you again, I'm not going to want to stop. Then maybe we should stay. His eyes darkened. I won't rush this. You deserve better than a rushed first date in your apartment. It's not rushing if I want it. Trust me. When I make love to you, and I will make love to you, it's going to be in a bed where I can take my time, where I can learn every sound you make, every place you like to be touched, where I can worship you properly. He stepped back, creating distance with visible effort. Dinner first, the rest later. The restaurant was the kind of place I'd only seen in magazines. Soft lighting, discreet tables, waiters who moved like dancers. The maitre d' greeted Luca by name and led us to a private corner table without being asked. You come here often? I asked as I settled into a chair that probably cost more than my rent. Never. I had them open tonight specifically for us. The restaurant is closed to the public. I stared at him. You closed an entire restaurant. I wanted to be able to talk to you without interruption, without people staring or taking pictures or causing problems. He smiled slightly. Is that too much? I can't always tell anymore. My sense of normal is skewed. It's terrifying and romantic in equal measure. That's a good description of me in general. We ordered, or rather Luca ordered for both of us after asking about my preferences, and I discovered I was too nervous to care about food anyway. The wine was incredible. The conversation was better. He asked about my life, my dreams, why I worked at a diner when I had a degree in art history gathering dust in a drawer. I asked about his family, his business, how he'd become the man he was. He answered honestly, telling me about a father who'd built an empire and a son who'd inherited it too young. About learning to be hard because softness got you killed. About building walls so high he'd forgotten what it felt like to let someone in. Until you, he said, reaching across the table to take my hand. Until a woman in a diner looked at me without fear or calculation, just saw a stranger who might help. I was terrified of you. Terrified of what I represented. Not of me. There's a difference. His thumb traced circles on my palm. Emma, I need you to understand something. What I feel for you, it's not rational. It's not measured or controlled. I saw you once, and something in me said, mine. That's not how normal people fall for each other. No, it's not. Does that frighten you? Yes, but not enough to run. Good, because I'm not sure I could let you go, even if you tried. The possessiveness should have been a red flag. With Derek, that kind of intensity had been suffocating, controlling, dangerous. But with Luca, it felt different. Like he wanted to own my fear and replace it with safety. like his obsession was about building me up rather than tearing me down. "What happens now?" I asked. "After tonight? Do we date? Do I become your, what, girlfriend? Property? I don't know how this works in your world." "In my world, you become mine. Completely and absolutely. Which means you're protected by everything I am and everything I control. It means no one touches you, threatens you, or even looks at you wrong without answering to me." He leaned forward. "But it also means you have power. Real power. Because anything that's mine, I protect. And anything that hurts you, I destroy." "That's a lot of pressure." "Yes, but I think you're strong enough to handle it. You survived, Derek. You'll survive me." A pause. "I hope." We talked until the staff started pointedly cleaning around us. Luca paid. I didn't see the bill, but he didn't even glance at it, and we walked back to the car hand in hand. "Your place or mine?" he asked as Marco started driving. "Is that a real question?" "It's an honest one. I have a penthouse that's probably being watched by 3 different law enforcement agencies. You have a studio that's definitely being watched by my men. Either way, we're not really alone. Your place. I want to see where you live." The penthouse was everything I expected, and nothing I was prepared for. Sleek, modern furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, art on the walls that I was pretty sure I'd studied in school. It was beautiful, and cold, and impersonal. "I don't actually live here," Luca said, watching me take it in. "I exist here. There's a difference." "Where do you live then?" "I don't know anymore. Maybe I'll live wherever you are." He poured us wine, something red and rich that I didn't recognize. We stood at the windows, looking out at the city lights, and I felt the weight of the moment. The understanding that everything was about to change. "I have to know something," I said. "What did you do to Derek? Really? Do you want the truth?" "Always. I had him picked up by my men." They took him to a warehouse and explained in detail what would happen if he ever came near you again. They showed him pictures of what happens to men who ignore my warnings. Then they put him on a bus out of the city with $500 and instructions never to return. "That's all?" "That's all. I wanted him gone, not dead. He's a coward, Emma." "Cowards understand fear. I gave him something to be more afraid of than his obsession with you." "Thank you. Don't thank me for doing what I wanted to do anyway." He turned to face me, setting his wine glass aside. "Emma, I need to ask you something, and I need you to think carefully before you answer." "Okay. Be mine, not just for tonight or this week. Be mine for as long as this lasts. Let me protect you and care for you and show you what it means to be treasured by someone who understands how rare you are." My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. "Are you asking me to be your girlfriend?" "I'm asking you to be mine in every way that matters. Girlfriend, partner, the person I come home to, the name I whisper when I think no one can hear, the woman who makes me want to be better than I am. That's a lot more serious than girlfriend. I don't do anything halfway. You should know that about me now." I thought about Derek, about months of feeling trapped and afraid, about the careful, patient way he'd isolated me from friends and family until I'd felt like I was drowning alone. Then I thought about Luca, about how he'd protected me without demanding anything in return, about how he'd been honest about his danger instead of hiding it, about how he'd asked what I wanted instead of telling me what I needed. Yes. Yes? Yes, Luca. I'll be yours. On one condition. Name it. You have to be mine, too. Completely. No secrets, no lies, no disappearing for days without explanation. If I'm risking my life being with you, you owe me the truth." He pulled me against him and I felt the tension leave his body. "Deal. Ask me anything, Emma. I'll never lie to you. Do you love me?" The directness of the question surprised us both. "No," he said, and my heart dropped. "Not yet, but I will. Give me time, and I'll love you so completely that you'll never doubt it. That's a promise. And if I fall first, then I'll spend every day trying to deserve it." He kissed me then, deep and claiming, and I felt the world shift beneath my feet. This was dangerous. This was crazy. This was everything I shouldn't want. And I wanted it anyway. We spent the night talking, kissing, learning each other like new languages. He told me about growing up in a world where trust was currency, and betrayal was death. I told him about art school dreams and crushing student loans, and the slow slide into just surviving instead of living. As dawn broke over the city, I was curled against him on his couch, his jacket draped over me like a blanket. "I should get you home," he murmured. "You have work tomorrow." "I'm calling in sick. Emma. I want to spend the day with you. Is that allowed? Or do you have people to intimidate and businesses to run?" He laughed, the sound warm and genuine. "I'll cancel everything. For you, I'll cancel the whole world." And he did. We spent the day together, and the next, and the next. Rosie covered my shifts with a knowing smile. Luca's empire apparently ran itself when he decided to focus on me instead. We existed in a bubble, learning each other, building something that felt fragile and precious and terrifying. On the fourth day, Derek sent a text. A simple message. "I'm sorry. I'm getting help. I won't bother you again." I showed it to Luca, who read it with a satisfied expression. He means it. My men confirmed he's in therapy and staying with family across the country. He's scared enough to actually change. Good. Is this what you needed? Closure? No, I needed to feel safe. You gave me that. The rest is just bonus. I kissed him softly. Thank you for everything. Thank me by staying. By letting this be real. It is real. Then let me prove it. A week later, Luca took me to a benefit gala, the kind of high society event I'd only read about. He introduced me to everyone as my Emma, possessive and proud, his hand never leaving the small of my back. People stared. People whispered. I didn't care. The morning after, my picture was in the society pages, identified as Luca Moretti's new companion. Rosie called to make sure I was okay. My mother called to demand to know what I was thinking. My friends called to ask if I'd lost my mind, but Luca just held me and said, "Is this too much? We can step back. I can keep you separate from this part of my life if you want." No, I want to be part of all of it, the good and the bad. Even if it's dangerous? Especially then, because you taught me something, Luca. You taught me that sometimes the most dangerous thing is the thing that makes you feel most alive. He kissed me then, soft and reverent. I love you, Emma Catherine Reese. I know it's too soon, and too fast, and too intense, but I love you. I love you too, despite the danger. Maybe because of it. I love you. Then marry me. I pulled back, stunned. What? Marry me, not now, not today, but someday. Let me make you mine in every way that matters. Legally, publicly, permanently. Let me spend the rest of my life proving I deserve you. Luca, I know it's insane. I know we've only known each other a few weeks, but I've never been more certain of anything. You're it for me, Emma. You're the thing I didn't know I was missing. Say yes, or tell me to wait, or tell me I'm crazy, but don't say no. I thought about safety and danger, control and freedom, the life I'd planned and the life I was living. Ask me again in 6 months. If you still feel this way, if we still feel this way, then yes, I'll marry you. 6 months. 6 months? Think you can wait that long? For you, I'd wait forever. He smiled. But I'm holding you to that timeline. 6 months from today, I'm asking again. And you're going to say yes. Confident. About you? Always. 6 months passed like a dream and a lifetime. I met Luca's family, who looked at me with suspicion that slowly warmed to acceptance. I learned the intricate politics of his world, the careful balance of power and loyalty. I moved into the penthouse and filled it with color and warmth, turning his space into our home, and Luca kept his promise. 6 months to the day, he took me back to the diner where we'd met. Rosie had closed it for the night, but the lights were on, and there were candles on every table. He got down on one knee in front of the booth where he'd first sat and pulled out a ring that caught the light like captured fire. Emma Catherine Reese, you walked into my life when I'd forgotten how to feel anything real. You taught me what it means to protect something precious, to love something more than power or control, to be better than I am. His voice cracked slightly. Marry me. Let me spend the rest of my life making you feel as safe as you make me feel human. Yes. Yes? Yes, Luca. Yes to all of it. Yes to the danger and the protection and the love. Yes to being yours and you being mine. Yes. He slid the ring on my finger and kissed me, while Rosie sobbed happy tears in the background. And I realized that sometimes safety isn't about avoiding danger. Sometimes it's about finding someone dangerous enough to protect you from everything else. Someone who waits for you after every shift, not to hurt you, but to make sure you get home safe. Someone who sees you and says mine like it's a prayer instead of a threat. Someone who loves you enough to burn down the world if that's what keeping you safe requires. I found that person, and I was never letting him go.